I'm going to go over the Pyramids of Giza and explain what they did and how they did it. Now, a lot of people are on the right track, but they're not giving these far ancients their credit because these people surpassed us. And we have to consider that since they just give us clues and hints that they may have known certain things, that's enough to just tell us that they did know, not just might have known. Now we're going to start with micro technology. Now the pyramids are macro technology, okay, but we're going to start right here. I've got literally so much here that I've done research. 3 sketch pads here. Not all of them they're not completely full. One's full, 2 of them are about half full of stuff, but I'm gonna go over all this. It's gonna take a little bit. It might be a rather extensive video, but I promise you it won't be boring. Now, anyone that knows anything about computers, now, consider, what are they made of? Well, we know that they got gold, platinum, precious metals in them, and mainly silicon, just like what the pyramids are made of. All right, you have your main CPU, which is Khufu's pyramid. You have your Northbridge processor for all of the stuff up here with your communications, the power, IDE, SATA, your RAM, whatever. And then you have your South Bridge, which takes care of your PCI slots, PCI Express, AGP, whatever you have. All right. Now, ironically, these are configured just like the pyramids when you consider it. All of the ancient structures look like gigantic computer motherboards and stuff. Now, this is why. I've figured out why, and I'd almost certainly guarantee this is it. All right, we're starting, like I said, with the computer. Okay, now, when you feed this power, which is ironically, this is where the Sphinx Temple is, but anyway, when you feed this power, what happens? The electrons flow through it, lighting up certain lights, and magnetic fields are created, capacitors are full of energy, transformers transfer energy, they step it down, step it up, yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, the pure energy is right here. Because basically, core computing is pure energy. And pure energy is a star. And the Pyramid of Giza creates a star in the King's Chamber. And I'm going to show you how. And that's ironically why they call it Iket, which means glorious light. And there's other indications that a star is actually created in this chamber. And this machine is what caused our polar shift and actually caused the cataclysm around 10,000 years ago, and ultimately the flood, no doubt. Or the flood was set into place to wash away this machine's handiwork. This is just a theory, but it is an ironic theory because it fits pretty closely into place. Now, like I was saying, if you look on the inside of these transistors, you're going to have parallel structures, basically. Now, you'll have a positive and a negative most generally. It'll be a positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. And they'll be pushed towards a certain area of the flow, basically, the flow of electrons. And ironically, if anyone knows anything about computers, get this. I'm talking to those computer buddies out there. This is, of course, a socket, right? This is a socket AM2, okay? The Pyramid of Giza is actually socket 9131. How amazingly ironic is that? It's actually a socket, just like a CPU. So that right there is even amazing in itself, considering it's designed the same way. Everything's on the inside looks exactly the same. See, here we go. You have your main CPU, socket 9131, your North Bridge, South Bridge. Now, if you're going to create a star, you're going to have to have a strong magnetic field. And I believe the reason we're finding blown up pyramids is because they didn't get it right that time, and they blew the pyramid to smithereens. And if you're gonna, I'm gonna show you exactly how this goes together and how it works. But I think these actually helped create the magnetic field. And these boat pits were probably quartz diodes or some kind of electromagnetic harnessing, pretty much of power to pretty much keep this thing harnessed. Because obviously, you know, if you know anything about cosmology, like these people did, then you would have to consider they know how to create a star. I mean, you would just have to consider that. We even know how to create a star, but we just can't do it because we haven't gotten to that point yet. But I'm about ready to give us a shove in the right direction. Now, whether I'm correct about this or not, it's definitely in the right direction. And I'm definitely onto something because things have fit into place way, way too well. Now, I didn't know exactly where to start, so I just started with the computer, okay? Now, I got the electronic aspects out of the way, and I'm going to explain the molecular physics of it here in a second. The molecular geometry, technically, because we know that water has a memory. You know, you can play certain frequencies, music, whatever, positivity, it doesn't matter. You can look at the molecular structure of water, and it will change depending on its stimulus, which is amazing. And it's most generally a hexagonal shapes, like the North Pole of Saturn, ironically. Now, with the computer technology, or the computer aspect of it, okay, this is the Temple of the Sphinx. This is Solomon's temple, okay? Now, I believe it's got 8 sides. The pyramid has 8 sides because there's a smaller pyramid on the inside that's turned the exact opposite way, and that gives it 8 sides. That would be 10 points, okay? Now, most generally, you'll see 10 and 5 pop up a lot in these other temples at the complex. But look how much like technology it looks like. This is an integrated circuit. This is a microchip. Look at that. That's just too damn coincidental to be just a coincidence. I mean, it looks too damn close. This is a 555 timer. I mean, these are just rough sketches of them, but basically this is what they look like. This is exactly what they look like. I mean, I couldn't get the line straight, obviously. I just drew them down, you know, from what I found. It's because these are thermoelectric power generators, okay? The sun or the heat, regardless, whatever was on the top of these absorbed the heat and it put it through these poles, these thermoelectric legs, and that created a frequency, an energy. And we can see this because actually out of computers, we can take a heat sink and fan and we can actually make a thermoelectric generator to run a little fan or something like that, or a little LED light, which is another ironic coincidence. How amazing is that?